everybody! Welcome back to Kiki's Closet. Today we are celebrating the music. Sorry, forgot to turn off my phone. Oh my god, it's Tony nominee and original Damien Gray Henson. Hey, Gray!
Oh, hey, Kiki. Congratulations on your new season.
Oh my god, thank you so much. I'm actually in the middle of filming an episode right now, so I'm gonna have to call you back. But will you please promise to come visit us soon?
Yes, I will. You go, Glen, Kiki. Bye. Love you.
Come on and come and play in Kiki's Closet today.
Hey friends, please help me welcome
Gianna, Gigi, the diva. Please help me welcome Gianna, Yanelli, and Kaitlyn, Louise Smith. Hey ladies, what's up? Welcome.
Oh, happy to be here.
Happy to be here, easy to work with.
Oh, how are you ladies doing? I want to know what color your heart is today.
Oh my gosh, what color my heart is? You know what? I just had therapy about 2 hours ago, so it's definitely like a calming, like bluish purple. Like we're not cold, but we're like peaceful.
I'm like going for more like a green, sickening color. I've been babysitting these wonderful 2 children that today they just had a nervous breakdown, and I was pretty much in the boat with them. But I'm happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this all day.
Aww.
Oh my gosh. Yay, thank you. So, Kaitlyn, you're from St. Louis, and Gianna, you're from Philly, not too far from New York.
Correct.
Did you both grow up going to see theater?
I was lucky enough and very spoiled to do so. My dad would always like make it a trip to go to New York at least twice a year, and he would get us a limo. So we were like those obnoxious kids like in a limo driving to New York, where people thought like famous people were coming out of the limo, or like we thought people thought that. So we would see a lot of like the amount of Broadway shows I've seen is, I feel really, really blessed and privileged. The one that I vividly remember is at the Walnut Street Theater when they did Cats. And I was scared of the cats. I still am. And it's so funny because that was also where I did my first professional show, was at the Walnut. So it came full circle.
Okay, so this is amazing because this is really truly full circle. Both of my parents are not theater people, really. I honestly, the only reason why I'm in theater today, and you can quote this, is because of PBS, because they broadcast so many musicals and old movies that were old movie musicals, and that is how I discovered a love for it. And the musical that I first watched, it was a film version of a musical, and it in fact was Cats. Exactly. I was not scared of them. I was such the weirdo child that that was me. Like I was the cat.
Well, I was obsessed with that DVD as well.
I was obsessed about being able to do the Victoria White Cat split. I'm still hoping that I'll one day be able to do the Victoria White Cat split.
I loved Now and Forever Cats. Kaitlyn, I was first introduced to you before I even knew you via Tracy's triple, the now viral video of when you played Tracy Turnblad and did this incredible triple pirouette at the end of You Can't Stop the Beat. You've gotten to play that part a bunch. You did it on the cruise line, you've done it regionally. Tell us about getting to play that part.
So, I love Tracy. She's a character that is near and dear to my heart. Speaking of Broadway shows, Hairspray was my first Broadway musical. I was in 3rd grade. It was my first trip to New York. That was like really when it sunk in, and when I literally sat my parents down at 8 years old and was like, I'm moving to New York. You need to expect this. And they laughed, of course, and then here we are. And that character was so special to me because I saw myself in that character. Even though I was only 8 years old, I started out as a dancer and sort of found musical theater through dance. And I, of course, wasn't like the long, like leggy girls in my class, even at age 8, right? I always had a little bit of a gut, God bless, genetics. And so getting to play her was such a dream come true. Obviously, I think the show Hairspray is problematic in some ways. Actually, not in some ways. It's problematic in many ways. And as I've gotten older, I've had to accept that. I still think that the stories that they're telling are important. I just think that the vehicle in which they're telling it is problematic, mostly because it was built by all white men. And it has nothing to do with white men. It was literally the antithesis of their stories. This has been such a crazy journey of like having this video resurface this summer, but I do think like I'm sort of ready to like see more interesting and more exciting characters that yes can be curvy and yes can be short and stout, but like maybe we're not like constantly making fun of it, or maybe it's not constantly talked about. Maybe she can just be on stage and like do her thing and have an actual plot that like means more than just her size.
So Gianna, you were doing Saturday Night Fever, and that's kind of how we met. You got an audition for Mean Girls. Walk us through that audition process, because obviously it was like a very coveted show. Everyone wanted an audition for it. Everyone wanted to get in the room, and you did. And you wowed them, and you booked it.
Well, I remember back in like 2013, 2012, and people were like, Mean Girls is going to be a musical, whatever. I was like, I am going to be in this musical. Like, I'm going to be in it. So when the casting notice came out, I was in Saturday Night Fever, and I was like, I have to do everything I can to get this audition. And at the time, and honestly still, I could never get into the room at Telsey, like ever. So when I saw that Telsey was casting, I was like, shit, I'm like not gonna get in the room. And I had heard through the grapevine that people were getting auditions, and I was like, WTF? I had worked with Nell Benjamin at Theater Aspen in 2015, and she and her husband came for a week and did a little reading workshop of one of their new musicals, and I was the lead in it. And so I just like shot my shit and I didn't have her email, so I messaged her on Facebook, which I don't even know if she read, because I saw that she didn't see it. And I waited like a couple days, was like, you know what? She didn't read it, and I need this job. Like, I know I'm meant for it. And so I reached out to the director of the show and was like, what is Nell Benjamin's email? I'm perfect for this show. I need to let her know that I need an appointment. Like, I just want to get in the room. That's it. I just want to get in the room. That's it. And I didn't hear back. I did not hear back from that email, but my response was an appointment. They just had me go in for like a general. All I did was sing my 32 bar cut that I sang for the ECC singer. And that was literally it. They didn't ask me to read any sides, nothing. 2 days later, get a dance call back. Shooketh. Now me, where we had to do the heel stretch promenade and go around in a circle, the non-dancer was like, are we kidding? I'm like, you're seeing me for a dance track. Okay. And honestly, y'all, I just like led with the commedia. I was like, I have to like tell a story and be funny because I don't know how else to do this. And I truly think it was survival mode. So it was wild. I remember messaging Nell because I think she had finally read my Facebook message after like the final callback with Tina Fey and all of the creative team. And it was like, hey, I just wanted to thank you so much for like getting me this job. And she was like, no, I didn't get you this job. You did. I just got you in the room. Congratulations. Kaitlyn, you play the role that I originated. So it's funny to like, talk about some background with it.
Gianna, will you give me a reading of my favorite line? I want to do it. I'm gonna be Katie.
Okay.
So this is what the line is.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, teens.
Unsubscribe.
So I listened to a little bootleg of it, and before the recording came out, and I thought it was something different. And this is what I thought Gianna was saying. Hi, teens.
I'm 69. Which means I did not articulate.
That's actually brilliant comedy. I think that it should be that.
All right, all of this talk of Danny DeVito has got me really excited. I think it's time to play a game. And this game is called Danny DeVito, I Love Your Work. And away we go. What TV show did Danny DeVito win his Emmy Award for?
Sunny in Philadelphia.
I've got a hint. We use it to get around New York.
Uber. Taxi!
Taxi!
I said it first!
What United States governor played Danny DeVito's twin on screen?
I have literally no idea. Andrew Cuomo?
I'll be back.
Arnold Schwarzenegger!
Oh,
Have you
man.
seen Danny DeVito starred opposite his wife in what film of a Roald Dahl book?
Matilda!
One last one. All right. Which Dr. Seuss character did Danny DeVito bring to life? He looks like him. Okay. Yeah! Yeah, he was the Lorax. He looks like the Lorax too, honestly.
Danny DeVito! I love you!
Well, I have one final question for us. What do you look forward to most when theater comes back?
The hope is that there are more people of color behind the table and, of course, on stage, but I think there needs to be way more changes for casting directors and creative team. This pandemic has really allowed so many things to come to fruition. It's always been there and we've been aware of it, but a lot of us have not paid this much attention to it because it wasn't constantly in front of us like it has been. And I honestly am so grateful for it.
Change is something that I think, of course, needs to be implemented via law, via order, if you will. That's our government's job to really implement change. But I do think as artists, and this is something that I'm continuing to try to embrace, because sometimes when I look at what I do for a living, I feel like, wow, I'm not making a difference. I'm not doing enough to implement that change. I'm singing and dancing for a living. But then I rethink, and then I'm like, wait a second. We have to change hearts and minds first. And I think that has always, if we look through history, that has always been done through an art medium. And I'm just looking forward to see what art comes out of this time and seeing how it might change minds and hearts.
Thank you so much for joining me here today in Kiki's Closet. I adore both of you so much. I love seeing you both on stage. Love you both in my life. Take care, and I can't wait to see you soon.
I love you!
Love you!
My next two guests were recently seen starring on the first national tour of Mean Girls. Please help me welcome my friends Danielle Wade and Will Branner.
What's going on?
How are you two doing?
We're good. We're surviving. One day at a time.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but we're doing good. We're happy and we're busy and
Or not busy
or
too,
not
like
busy.
both at the same time.
When COVID hit and Mean Girls took a little pause, you are hunkering down in North Carolina.
We are at Will's parents' house actually,
Yes.
in his like childhood home, and we are just hanging out here.
Will, how has been being home for the last 6 months?
It's been good. It's been kind of it's been interesting because we're all in different phases of life. I have a 2-year-old niece, so I've kind of like gotten to watch her turn to become a different human over these last 6 months because she's just growing.
Yes.
But she's obsessed with Danielle, which is very nice. So
We're
we've
best
been
friends.
we've been able to like, I don't know, play a different role than I've ever played before. It is weird being 27 back in your parents' home and sleeping in your like childhood bed. You're like, am I 18 again? How old am I? Who am I? But I think we'll look back on this time and really treasure it because I can't imagine. I mean, we were saying right before tour ended, we thought we weren't going to see my family again for, I don't know, it was going to be like a year, 6 months, somewhere in there. They weren't sure they were going to be able to come out. We had just stopped in Durham and they came out for a full week. We were all crying in the parking lot saying, oh my gosh, if only there was a way we could just like be together always.
And then we were.
And then 3 weeks later, we're like, oh, hey, we're going to move home for like 3 weeks. Oh, hey, we're going to be here for 2 months. And here we are 6 months later, as together as possible. So that's really been the silver lining.
Growing up in North Carolina, I don't know it too well. Was there a good art scene, a good theater scene there?
Charlotte has a great community theater scene, but we had tours come through, and there were definitely opportunities to perform all over the place. So I love Charlotte. I really do. But I would love to come back here and like start a true equity house that would put on shows. Just to like, I think that regional theater scene is super important.
Now, Danielle, coming from Canada, what was your first introduction to theater?
It's kind of the same. There are a couple tiny community theaters in my town. I don't live in a really big place, so it's very very specific for for the neighborhood, the kind of shows we were doing. But I do in Canada live right across the border from Michigan. My parents would take me to Detroit and we would go see shows there.
I've got to bring up The Wizard of Oz, 2013. There is this competition somewhere over the rainbow to find the next Dorothy. What was it like auditioning for such a big production in front of the world to see?
It was so weird. It was amazing. I know, he's heard this story so many times.
I love it. It's a good one.
It's just, like, it's so not something I would ever have done. I think that's the biggest thing for me about the story is I've never in a million years would have auditioned for that. But I had someone in my class send me the flyer, and they said, you'd be perfect for this. And my mom had the day off work, and we drove and we auditioned, and I spent, I think, 6 hours in line, and then I sang for a pre-producer, and they told me to fix my hair. They're like, put your hair in front of your shoulders so you look younger. I was like 19 at the time. Then I went and I sang Over the Rainbow for the casting director, who had heard Over the Rainbow maybe 4,000 times that day.
And then the whole competition was on TV and live every week. Was it terrifying performing for such a huge audience? Knowing that, like, there's a million people watching on TV as well, not only in front of you physically.
Yeah, and especially because with all of us, I was one of the oldest ones. Like, we don't know what we're doing.
I still don't know what I'm doing.
You got good at just pretending it was the couple hundred people in front of you in the actual studio, and you just hoped it went well because it really was live. Like, mistakes and all. We had some really bad mistakes, and they didn't go back and fix them. We had to learn like 6 songs every week and choreography, and then be like, here you go, do it in front of the country. Good luck.
But you did, and you won it, and you went on tour.
I did.
Like Weber, you know, like, how exciting was that?
It was so cool. But we're really good friends, which you know all about this. Like, we've all stayed such good friends through the whole thing. That's so cool. And then then I did the show in Toronto for 9 months, and they all came. And then I went on tour, and some of them came to visit, and like the runner-up, her and I are best friends.
Before COVID hit, the two of you were starring on the first national tour of Mean Girls, and I was so lucky to see you in Orlando, one of the last cities before everything shut down. Danielle, you stood by for Katie and Janice on Broadway. What was it like getting to put your own stamp on the role across America?
It's been very cool. I've been very fortunate that Erica is so lovely to work with and to learn from. I got to take in a lot of things that she does and has done or changed, and she's like, we tried this, but it didn't really work. And we are such different humans, her and I, that I think immediately there's a different Katie, which is kind of awesome. But it's been very cool to like kind of bring my own nerdy, quirky self to the nerdy, quirky character in the show.
And Will, on any given night, you are playing Danielle's dad, boyfriend, gay best friend, or principal. Which is your favorite?
Oh, gotta be the gay best friend.
Do it.
Great. So I want to ask, Will, you've been such a wonderful ally to the LGBTQ community. What steps did you take in approaching playing one of the most iconic gay roles in film history and now musical theater?
I kind of think that gay is like probably the 10th thing down the list to describe Damien. There's so many more characteristics to the LGBTQ community besides these letters that we attach to people. I think approaching it from that standpoint, he is flamboyant. I am also flamboyant.
Yes,
I have a very flamboyant personality. He is goofy. He likes jokes. He likes mischief. Finding those things and attaching those first, and then finding that for myself and what I could bring to the table within those characteristics in the show, before I'm like, oh, I'm a straight guy, there's no way I can play gay. Of course you can. There is very, very serious masculine type of gay guys who you wouldn't like immediately know are gay, and we need to like kind of just move past this box that we put gay people in, and what an opportunity for me coming into that to get to experience that.
What's your favorite part about being on tour together?
What do you think? Touring together is really interesting. Like, we could be like, it's all sunshine and rainbows, but it's hard sometimes.
Well,
Yeah,
touring in general is hard too. Just
right.
that with anyone.
Well, like you immediately only have your cast in each place. And now I have my boyfriend in each place, which is awesome. But I also have him at work. I have him at the grocery store. I have him on the airplane.
Right.
I have him on the bus, which is kind of amazing. But there are also days that
We're just like,
we're like, hey,
no.
I love you, but I'm going to sit on the front of the bus and you're going to sit back there.
But there's also, I think there's also different expectations because
Yeah.
Being an ensemble member, I have a lot of responsibilities and connections and inside jokes with the ensemble. And sometimes there's a separation between the leads and the ensemble that just kind of naturally occurs with different casts. But I think the best part of being on
Yes,
tour together
yeah,
in the
this-
positions we're
yeah.
in is that we've been able to eliminate that separation with our ensemble and with our leads. It's all kind of,
Yeah.
they know that Danielle is on team ensemble and the leads know that the ensemble is on the same page with them
Mhm.
because of our connection.
We had one night, he was in Bad Out of Hell at the City Center, and while I was still on Broadway, and we met in Times Square, and we were like, we both did a Broadway show tonight.
It was just like, we just took a selfie and it's
Yeah.
my favorite picture, and it kind of set the tone going into tour
was very
of
cool.
like, we're teammates.
Before we go, I want to ask one last question. What changes would you like to see in the American musical theater when COVID ends and we're all able to be back on stage together?
Oh gosh, there are so many things happening right now in our world, in our COVID world, that I mean, this sounds aggressive, but like, if I don't see them implemented in our world when it is all back to normal, I feel like I'm not the only one, you're not the only one who will not be okay with that. There are so many movements and discussions and steps being taken into a positive direction for everyone, that if I can be an ally in the sense, like I will fully be your team member whenever possible. This community in this time of crisis too, with not having jobs, should come together even more.
Yeah, I want to see specific training involved with that. We go through a sexual harassment class before we go on tour. There's official things that can be done, and while that day is rather tedious, it's tedious for everybody to sit there and be like, yeah, I'm not going to do those things. I think it is so important
Yeah.
to set the tone because now you have been told, and I think that there are things people don't consider or don't know or haven't been exposed to, and if you're going to enter into a company and trust, I think establishing that day one with a very particular set of rules and lessons and discussions going into something.
That's true too, like maintaining discussion, not just like closing the book on discussing anything anymore, but also not relying on our friends to inform us of anything, like doing our own work besides that.
You two give me so much hope for the future, and I just love you both so much, and I'm really grateful that you joined me here today on my show, and I hope our paths cross sooner than later.
And I just want to say thank you for doing this podcast, DJ, because I think it's so important right now when there's no theater going on, that we as theater professionals find ways to engage and keep this art form alive. So thank you for having the show.
You're crushing it.
You're crushing it. We love it.
Thank you so much. You too. I love you so much. I hope to see you soon.
Mwah.
Bye.
Come on and come and play in Kiki's closet today.